We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back, Mike.
To Deal Junkies.
He's setting up tea times right now.
I love it when you guys try to do the intro without me.
It doesn't go well.
It's so
terrible.
cute. You're like, welcome back to Deal Junkies.
Hi, we're not Gabe. Would you like to hear about our real estate deals? We're gonna have fun.
No,
I swear.
I love listening to you guys. You're awesome. All right, we're back. I'm Gabe. Trevor's here. Mike's here, and we are back in the studio with Rob Harden. Thanks again, Rob, for joining us. Man, we were just pumped on that last episode. I think we could have gone for 3 hours. So
That was my favorite one.
Mike was like, "Shut up, we got to do another."
Trevor,
episode.
like, I don't know, was that the background story? Was it the deal story?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
It was a flow. It was a lot of fun.
Okay,
Hopefully,
no more
everybody
background.
enjoyed.
We don't care about Rob. We can't talk about background. It's just deals.
We're
How
gonna
do you
get
deals?
real focused now. So where are we gonna start? We'll let Trevor take it
We
off.
talk about a favorite and a least favorite deal. Since yours are so interesting, just dive into some of the details. Let's start with least favorite.
Ooh, least favorite. It's probably the one that I just had to kick loose that didn't close here. Kevin Way. It's actually right not too far away from here. Yeah, Kevin Way is one where we were going to... It originally came to me from a JV partner. Actually, somebody, Brandon Hendricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon. He's awesome. I love Brandon. He brought it over, and originally he's like, hey, I got this foreclosure deal. It looks interesting. It doesn't... it's got a ton of cash flow, but... It looks messy, so I just don't know what to do with it. So he brought it over, and originally I passed on it because I was like, this doesn't look like... The amount of debt was just high. It was like $380,000 in debt, and it needed a lot of work. So it just didn't look like a good deal at first.
This is a house.
House, yeah.
Okay.
But I kept coming back to the debt was so cheap on it. Like the guys, we found out later on that they hadn't made like payments like 7 years, and they've gone through like mortgage. They got the loan mods, and there's all these changes that happened over the course of it. But they had actually, when we dug into title, it was like 20 years of this. Like they've had problems for a very long time, and that kind of ties into why the deal fell apart. Is that what we understood? There was a first, and we understood that there was loan mods, and we thought everything got rolled into it. Mm-hmm. But it changed servicers several times, and the note was sold several times. But there was no reconveyances done on some of the older notes. At least we thought that all it needed to be done was a reconveyance, because there was like $50,000 worth of debt.
Explain a reconveyance.
Okay, reconveyance. So after a note, is paid off, changes hands, satisfied, then a reconveyance happens, and then it's no longer a recorded lien against the property.
Mm-hmm. The lien's lifted off,
and then a new lien is placed.
Yep, a new lien's placed. Yeah. Exactly. So this house, the PITI was only like $1,200 a month, and market rents in the area were like $25 at the low end. So like there was a huge amount of cash flow potential there, but it also depended upon some really weird factors, because they, during COVID, they got one of those COVID loans where they get like 60 grand, but you don't have to pay it back if you can stay in the house and make the payments for like 5 years. So they had this really nice chunk of change that was recorded against the property, but it could be forgiven. So my brain immediately went to like, let's just set it up with the lease option purchase, so we don't transfer title until after that lien expires, and then we make sure that it gets reconveyed, gets pulled off. So it's another way to pick up like 50 grand in equity.
If you're buying on a lease option, do you pre-sign a deed so you can record it at any time?
100%. And the reason why, we'll do it twice. We'll actually go and get all the docs done, warranty deed, all this stuff signed, so we have a copy of it. We don't record it. We want it there just in case something, the sellers... Like once they get their money and move on, like they're gone. Like, how are you going to find like this? And their plan was, let's get in an RV and we're just going to travel. So I knew that we would never find these people again. Like, as soon as we did paperwork, like I knew that was done. So that's how we structured it, to where they were going to sign over all this. And then we also were getting power of attorney from a third party, so that in case we couldn't get them later to sign new docs, because I know there's some legalities. We talked to title. They're like, we don't like it when you record something like more than a year. Like, they had these weird timelines on it. Like, you can do it, but I don't know. The legalities of it were in question.
Okay. And then you recorded your memorandum of lease option on the front end too?
Yeah, we
Okay.
recorded on the front end and then put a lien against it too, so that we can, because our buyer originally, this is one I didn't want because the entry fee was just so high. Like we had to pay off the arrears. So there was like 40 grand in arrears. House needed like, if you're going to flip it, maybe $150K worth of work.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot. But
must
if you're
be a
gonna,
nice house.
it's in a nice neighborhood, nice house. Had a pool. That's the other reason why I didn't want it. I saw that I did the walkthrough. No one told me about the pool. So I show up and I'm walking the house and I go in the backyard. I'm like, oh, you got a pool.
Why didn't you want the pool?
Tenants. I don't want drowning kids, drowning dogs.
It's a lot of liability, insurance, cost of upkeep.
Yes. All those factors. And then we're like, well, maybe we just fill it with dirt, turn it into a big garden or something. So we had all these different ideas with it. But the reason why this one's my least favorite one is that we spent a ton of time on it. We went through it with the sellers, like, hey, do you have any judgments, any liens that we don't know about? What do you know about this, this mortgage that got reconveyed? They're like, oh, we don't have any judgments. We don't have any liens. This thing is gone. Okay, cool. So we're like, we checked all those boxes. Title, of course, finds $20K worth of judgments. And they were going to get about $20,000. So they got, I went and actually called all the judgments and got them negotiated down. I got them down to like $14,000 on the judgments.
Oh,
so
wow.
I created a spread for them. They were going to get like at least something.
You're helping them out.
Yeah. Because I find that with these kind of deals, like if you can't give them something, they literally are just going to walk away. Like there's
Just
no
go
deal
into
to
foreclosure.
Yeah.
And
Like, oh, there's nothing for me here. I got to live here for free for 7 years, but that's not enough.
how did they get to live there that long without going into foreclosure?
I think it all comes to what I've noticed is that it's all about the banks. So if you have some banks that are aggressive, that are on top of their stuff, they're not going to sit around. And then other banks, I don't know. I've talked to a dude in Portland, the bank, he's been in foreclosure for like 8 years and they never foreclosed on him.
And he's just not paying, living
He's just
there
not
for
paying,
free.
just hanging out. Yeah.
And it's the
Same with
bank
these
and the
people.
servicer because it's the investor. So the investor has to tell the servicer what they want to do. The servicer
And they just
does
have
what the
such a
servicer
big
does.
portfolio of loans that they don't
And
care.
once they do, then they've got to decide if they want to take that off their books or not, because now they're going to realize their loss rather than just like, oh, we're not collecting this payment over time. Once we finally foreclose, then it's their balance sheet that they're trying.
That seems much better though than
It's just one loan in a fund, right? So they
Yeah.
are a fund. The entire fund has a return. So this is a drag on the return. But as long as they look good on paper,
okay.
It makes one spreadsheet look good and one look bad. And they got to
Exactly.
figure out when they've got to
yep.
flip that switch.
Okay. So you figure you call the judgments, you negotiate them down, and then what?
Negotiate the judgments down. We get those back to title. Title, in the meantime, is reaching out to this note that's like 54 grand that would kill the deal because that much debt on there just tips it too much. It's just not worth doing it. So they're reaching out and they're asking for a reconveyance. So they're reaching out for reconveyance. Our buyer comes in and we're going, hey, this is where we're at. Title's reached out. We just got to get this reconveyance done, and then we can get this thing
And you're
closed out.
wholesaling this thing?
Wholesaling it, yep.
Okay.
So thankfully, the buyer didn't wire his funds in. The buyer brought a cashier's check. So he took a cashier's check to Title, gave it to Title. Title said we need to let it sit for a couple days to clear. And this is where I really could be in a bad spot because we sign all the paperwork, money goes in, they exchange keys, right? The owner leaves, the buyer gets it. I did not know that he was going to start rehab right away. The dude goes in there and starts just tearing the house apart. He junks the house out. He's about ready to rip the roof off. I think he's like 2 days away from that. And I get a call from Title, and Title goes, we have a problem. They send me a text. She just texts me. He's like, we have a problem. I'm like, okay, I call. Like, what's the problem? They're like, hey, you remember that reconveyance? I'm like, yeah. They're like, we just heard back from the lender, and they sent us a payoff of $110,000.
Oh, crap.
I go, wait a second. This is supposed to be a reconveyance. They're like, apparently it's an active note that they've not tried to collect on for 20 years.
Oh,
20 years. And they want 110 to close it out. And I go, okay, did you disperse any money? Like, is the buyer's money still at escrow? Because I was like shitting my pants now going, oh God, I'm going to have to pay this dude back $60K.
Yeah.
Like all these things are going through my head to make things right. And they're like, no, money's still there. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I call. This is when I find out that the dude tore the house apart. I call him and say, hey, that deal, we need to put the brakes on.
so has the deal closed?
But that's the thing. So that's the weird thing. It doesn't ever close. So we had Title to do something special for us. We wanted a 3-year escrow. so that we could hold this thing
Most
open.
escrow companies won't do that for you.
No, they will not. So we actually got so I'll give a shout out to Heidi Lloyd and she's in Renton at Stewart, and she does a lot of stuff for us, so she's awesome. So she was going to hold it open for 3 years, give us all the warranty deeds on the front end, and then leave it open so we could close it if we need to, like do new docs at the end. And that was the whole point of doing it this way.
Why did you need to do new docs at the end?
So with new docs at the end, so we could have a warranty deed now, but we're worried about the legality of like maybe waiting 3 years and then recording it and then having somebody say something about it. So we set up a power of attorney with a third party that could actually sign docs on their behalf in 3 years.
Interesting. That's
so in case they're gone.
Another question on it. So how did they go through non-payment for that long and still have a really low rate?
I know, that's the weird part.
Because they refied to that rate at some point.
Yeah, they did. They got
they would have had a terrible credit score. Probably.
It was a loan. Did you say a loan mod?
Yeah,
on
loan
it?
mod.
So once you get into that and they renegotiate, it goes into a whole different department at the bank. So they've modified that, and they're kind of in the like, hey, please pay because we don't want to write this one off.
And you're also used to commercial notes where they have default rates. Most mortgage residentials don't have default rates.
So the plan was to officially close it at that 3 year time frame, but you have this deed signed but unrecorded on the front end.
Exactly.
Okay.
So as a protection, just in case.
So there's no lease in this, and it's not a lease option.
It is. Yeah, we had a lease agreement.
But you recorded the memorandum of the lease option?
Yeah,
or
just
not yet? Even?
But a memo. Our memos when we'll do them. So it depends on the situation. Like in this one here, we were afraid of. Okay, I take this back. I'm sorry. On this one, we didn't do a memo. The reason is that in order to get that COVID loan forgiveness, nothing can be recorded.
Oh, okay. So that's why you're delaying it for that time period to get that waived.
And we didn't do the memo because the memo would indicate a transfer or a sale.
Okay.
So what we did to protect the buyer in this situation is get a note and deed for
a second lien amount.
Exactly. So for his the money invested plus his rehab. So I think we're going to slap. Well, we got doc signed for like a $200K lien.
Okay.
To get slapped on it.
Yeah.
Just to give him a buffer too, because with 3 years and people in the situation they are, like what are the odds of other judgments that we don't know about?
So isn't the problem if the first lien has a bunch of other default interest and stuff that wasn't yet reported, then that supersedes the second, correct?
Yeah, we would have been told like
and that's what you found out essentially.
Yes, we found out that killed everything.
Okay.
110K.
So he tears it all apart. You call him, and then he's like, "What the hell, Rob?"
I know, and on the phone, I'm like, "So what are you into it right now?" And he was like, really nice. He's like, "I'm about $5,000 into it, but I was gonna rip the roof off tomorrow." And I go, "Okay, well, I got you on the $5,000. Don't do any more work. Please stop."
Yeah. How did that 110 not show up on the title report?
That's the weird part. It didn't. It showed up as a $54,000 note that was in the seller
supposed to be forgivable.
Supposed to be actually that one's supposed to be rolled into the loan mod that they did. They went through. They did like multiple loan mods.
So it's real muddy.
And this
really muddy.
The note you record with him is like a third or fourth then because you have all these other ones.
Exactly.
Okay, so that 54 had all this default interest that they didn't originally have on the original principal balance, and then you found out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they come back and they say we got to wipe this 54 out, the seller saying that number should be 0. We find out 2 days after he's ripping the house apart, it's 110.
It's 110. And what makes it even worse is that we should never have reached out to. If we would have done, if there's a saying that we like to use all the time now, and I try to live by it now, is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Because every time I try to rush a transaction, and because the buyer got in a big rush, he's like, we need to get this done. I'm going on a cruise next week, so we got to get this done now. So we rushed the transaction. If we would have slowed down and done a little bit more research on that one note, we could have actually did our transaction, and then we could have went back and did a quiet title and got that removed. We could have gotten that by sending them the right documents through an attorney. So
similar story. So I really like that you said that because we did this once and a seller was like, we gotta close this now. The seller was like, whatever. The broker just wanted to get paid. And they kept sending us a deed that was double-sided on the printed. And we're like, we can't record this. We send them back the docs. They're in a different state, moved out. Send it back, record it again that way. And the seller's broker is like, we need to close this now because I gotta get paid. And we're like, okay, we'll close it this way, but we got to get these docs taken care of. And then it was a whole pain in the ass to get the docs later. And we could have just waited a week and been like, we're not going to close. And it is what it is. So I agree with what you're saying.
Always slow it down.
Yeah.
If things aren't right, you got it. Because just like if we would have rushed that one a little bit faster, I'd be in a situation where I'd be having to pay that dude a lot of money.
Yeah, so I mean that's good on you too, because a lot of people in your case, they're wholesaling and whatnot. They're like, oh shit, I'm not
Sorry about your luck.
I'm not paying this $5,000, and then they don't pick up their phone anymore. So like, and that's why you're able to do more and more deals, because you take care of people.
He's not a wholesaler. He is a real estate monopoly player that understands you don't screw people on $5,000.
But a lot of
business owner.
No, but a lot of people will do that, especially as a beginner,
because they're wholesalers and they have it's a car salesman mindset. He's a business owner.
I do not like wholesaling. Every wholesale I've only had one really smooth one.
Assignments is not wholesaling. That's what I like. Like, that's the nuance to me.
I like that.
Doing business people do assignments. Wholesalers are shady people that use the assignment tool as a way to be shady.
Shout out to all our shady wholesalers.
Yeah. No, and there are good wholesalers out there too, though.
Yeah, there are.
But a lot of people get into it because it's the quick and easy, rich
Yeah.
way to do all this stuff with no license and all that. But
And you can be a crook.
Where wholesalers really go wrong, though, is just not being transparent. Every
Exactly.
deal I've ever wholesaled, the buyer knows what's going on, so everybody knows what's going on.
and that's how you get it closed, because then you can explain clearly. If you're like, I'm buying this, and then they're like, why aren't you closing? And you're like, hold on, let me make a phone call real quick.
Yeah, we just had one blow up because there's no transparency, and we just had one done in 24 hours because there's clear transparency.
Okay,
it's
so
as simple as that.
So you pay this guy $5,000, and then it's just
No, it's even better because he goes, we're talking, and I agree to make him whole. So he goes through the transaction. And he goes, do you know anything about auctions? And I go, yeah. And I go, this one here is going to auction next week. So
the same deal or a different deal?
Same deal.
Okay.
That's what we actually stopped the auction and got it delayed, and then it was back on. So he actually circled back. I don't know if he bought it at auction, but that's his plan was. So I connected him with Rain City Capital, who does a lot of the auction funding, and with Chris Burdick over there. So I connected him up. I'm like, why don't you just buy this at auction? He loved the fact that I provided value and got him connected with it, and he never hit me up for the $5,000. He still might do it, but after you hear, if he
I was gonna say, shout out to Chris Burdick and the guy Rob owes $5,000 too.
Exactly.
Wow. So that wasn't that was your least favorite deal that you were involved in, but what's your least favorite deal that you ever bought?
Oh, I would say I have a. I don't know if I want to talk about this one. I have one here in
That's
Salem.
the one we want to hear
That's the one you want to hear about.
If that's on the back of your mind, absolutely.
Okay,
Let's go.
all right. Here we go. We'll just be open and transparent. So it's a threeplex here I've got in Salem. The reason why it's my least, it was easy to get into, pretty inexpensive. We did some creative financing to purchase it. Basically a BRRRR deal. Mm-hmm. Basically just bought it, refinanced it, and then slapped a second on for the seller's equity.
Yeah.
And the seller gave me really good terms, like 10 years, no payments on $125,000.
Wow.
So no interest, nothing. So it's just going to sit there for a long time. But the property just needs way more work. And that's what I don't like heavy. Like, I like heavy rehab going into it with that mindset where that's accounted for. But like buying it that needs heavy rehab, because, oh my God, one of the units won't rent out. So I should probably talk to you guys and get
like
semi
you can't
involved.
rent it out at all?
I don't know what's going on. I've had it with, I won't mention the property management company because it's not how I roll. But,
Sure.
But it's been 6 months and they haven't rented out one of the units.
What are you trying to rent it for, and what's the size?
It's like $1,100 for a 2-1.
Oh, that's
I know.
the cheapest 2-1 on the market.
I agree with you. I don't know what's wrong. I've asked them, like, do I need to...
Do you have holes in the ceiling?
Dude, I've already put... It's in Salem. It's right. It's not even far from here.
Do you have holes in the ceiling?
No,
maybe
it's
that's
like,
the issue.
Dude, it's like... It's not... It's older and it's dated. 100% older and dated. But before they did the turn, they gave me a list. Oh, we need a new stove. We need to do plumbing repairs. I paid... we did all the repairs. Mm-hmm. But it won't rent. I don't know what's going on.
And it's on the market listed for it?
Hey, you want to sell it? You want to sell it on terms?
100%. No, you're not going to want this one. Both and the other two units need work. So like they need work, and there's people in them, and I'm afraid to like raise rent, do anything because I don't want them to move out.
No
then
vacancies.
I have to. Like I don't want to do rehab on it right now. I just don't feel like it. So that one's my least favorite because it's just older and needs work. And I go back on it now, like were the terms great? Amazing. Is the property great? No.
But there's still value add for someone to come in and take care of that, because you could go solve that problem if you really wanted to and go do it, but now someone else can come in and they can go add the value, they can do the time, deal with the tenants and figure it out, and they can make money on it still, and you can transfer all that over to them.
For sure.
Yeah, but subject to debt does get in the way. On heavy value add deals, that debt gets in the way.
Just because you have...
This debt's actually in my name.
It.
And this one, it's a DSCR. Yeah, I DSCR'd it. It's all debts in my name on this one. Yeah, not a sub-deal deal.
So do you wish you would have just borrowed more on the front end to rehab it then, and just
no, because it needs a lot more.
Okay.
It definitely have been way over leveraged. Yeah, so it's just one I just got to sit on, and eventually I'll circle back and rehab it.
You know what he's saying? He paid too much.
Oh, definitely paid too much.
The problem was you just overpaid.
He
on
got good
finance.
terms. And it was an easy deal.
Yeah. Can you just sell it and move the seller to a different property?
I don't think it would sell for. I mean,
Which
I
your
could talk to
DSCR
him.
loan is?
Yeah, I mean, it would sell for that amount, but I don't think it.
That's what I mean. It doesn't matter. Don't care about that. Just get rid of the problem.
Move the 125 to a different
But
asset.
yeah, I think you're right with what you're doing. If it does it cover itself
Yeah.
right
Oh,
now?
it does. Oh, 100%.
Then you
Even
just
with
two
wait.
units.
With 2 units rented,
Then you just wait.
yeah.
Then you're
it's
not in
gonna wait.
distress.
Yeah. No, I'm not
He's
distressed.
just whining and complaining.
I am a whiner and a complainer.
I'd love to have that deal.
I know.
my
It
other-
pays for
Gabe's like,
itself.
great.
Yeah,
you can slumlord it and it's not taking CapEx. Awesome.
Oh, total slumlord. This is my first slum. Like all the other properties, not this one, 100%. Like when I saw it, I'm like, what am I doing?
You got to be careful buying those slumlord deals. Those sweet seller terms. There's a reason they come with the slumlord deals.
Costs a lot of money afterwards.
Exactly.
Not as much up front, but a
Yeah.
lot more afterwards.
Yeah,
Poison
it's a shiny
apple.
object. Oh, 0%. Oh, yeah, no problem. Look at my 0% 10 years. Forget about all of this.
Exactly, 100%.
Well, see, even this deal you don't like you're gonna make money on it still.
Oh yeah, it's still gonna be good.
Yeah.
I got
Because
one.
he plays the long game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one in Louisiana. So that's the other thing. That one's a weird one because that one came up with, we do a lot of agent outreach. So we'll call agents and explain the way we're buying. Called an agent here in Salem and said, hey, this is what we're looking for. She's like, I got nothing like that. But my brother is in foreclosure in Louisiana. And that
wow.
segue right there led to like 2 phone calls. Then it's under contract. It's in Shreveport.
Had you ever been to this property?
No,
or?
never
Yeah.
been to it, never seen it.
How many properties do you not see, percentage-wise?
Like the one in, okay, so that's the only one I've purchased sight unseen other than Tacoma.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you
Tacoma
typically
Sense.
see what you buy.
Yeah, I typically go out. I want to go look at them. I say this, but I have 2 under contract, right? One in Spokane right now and one in Yakima. I've never seen. As I say that.
Yeah, I mean those are good markets though. Like
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm going to be driving by Yakima next week.
Oh, I'll give you the address, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll send you-
You said you wanted to start trading, upgrading into triplex, fourplex. What keeps you from wanting to go into bigger product, like
Ooh,
20, 30, 40 unit stuff?
I think I like the debt terms on single family. I really love the debt on it, especially with, well, I'll give you an example. So like this one in Salem the first lease option when I sold, basically that one, if they execute in 3 years, I'll make $80,000, in 3 years when they execute. And if they don't execute, then we'll roll it into a seller carry and it'll kick it down the road a little bit longer. But what I like about that is if I could do, let's say, I have a goal of doing like 1 a month here, scaling up and getting to 1 a month. If you're doing 1 a month and your average on your lease options, 50 to 100 grand, somewhere in there, that adds up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that I could make anywhere from $500 to $1 million a year just doing lease options. They're very low time. Like the amount of time you have to put into it is very low. I was surprised. This one in Salem went really quick.
so you're thinking you need to acquire all these chess pieces to essentially 1031 into bigger deals and
Yep.
stack and roll up.
Yep, stack and roll them up. And then I also like lending too, even though I'm taking a little bit of a break from it because I got 2 defaulted loans that I'm dealing with. So, yeah.
I think you could go straight to bigger properties without.
Yeah, you have
so.
all the tools in your toolbox to do bigger
and,
stuff.
Yeah, and you know so much about how all the mechanisms of offering and whatnot. And then for you too, it's such a relationship game and everyone that talks to you loves you. So you could totally
There's got to
do
be
those
some
deals.
people that don't like me.
Well,
Oh,
just
there's
the
people-
cops.
just Mike.
Just the due on
apparently.
sale.
Just a due on sale cops. Mike
Watch out.
Nuss.
They're coming after you.
No, I mean we would love to partner with you on a deal too. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're so good at finding them too, and we'll come in and bring other resources. That's our goal always. Let's dive into one of your favorite deals now.
Okay, one of my favorite deals, honestly, that one I told you last episode in Beaverton has been probably one of my most favorite deals just because of the 0% terms on it. One that I assigned to AJ, which I think he brought that one to you guys, right, in Roseburg. Did he talk to you about that one?
Oh, AJ Day.
AJ Day.
Yes.
Oh, that he bought.
Yeah.
He's. I've heard a little bit about it. It was he's trying to buy the whole block and build something.
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
something
We're
like that.
working on other sellers down there too. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably one of my more favorite ones just because the terms were so good. The seller agreed to 0% for 15 years, just principal only payments.
And he did that because he wanted to bake it into the sales price and take long-term cap gains rather than short-term, right? Or
Yep.
something.
The seller?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah, it's
so.
a
Right?
lady.
Rather than interest
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the difference between cap gains and interest income? Wouldn't you
Lower
just want
tax
to take
bracket.
Income
in the
is
cap gains? So
yeah.
you're taking a little bit of cap gains every month with each payment.
Well, it's just a lower rate than
Yeah, because you're paying
interest income.
ordinary income
But in
tax.
Oregon, well, your federal is
It's the
lower.
federal.
State is the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is state the same?
Yeah. Cap gains in Oregon are the same as income.
right. But at the federal level, you save like
So-
10%.
So yeah, explain that deal to us. Like dive into the
Yeah,
details
that
of
one
it.
there. So
or how it came together, and because that's a
that one, we kicked that one around because I actually wanted to do that one myself, but I keep on taking on these projects that are far away, and that one need heavy rehab. Like it needed a ton of work. And just like when I was talking to Mike earlier, Mike's like, Mike, why aren't you doing stuff down in Salem? I was like, my team's not down here. Like it's a big hassle when you have to take it on yourself and then do that drive. So that's why I didn't want to do the Roseburg one. It's a heavy lift. I actually went down the road. We talked to the city, talked to the county. They need housing down there really bad. So we were going to convert it to a duplex, triplex, and then or a potential more rooms. But the amount of work that it needed, it just made more sense to find somebody that wanted to do that. Like
and
AJ.
AJ's in that market and a contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's perfect for it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect fit. So
And he's an SMI broker, so he must be
And then-
trustworthy.
100%.
So you wholesaled that one too?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what'd you set it up as? Like
Yeah.
what is the actual deal structure?
So deal structure is 15 years, 0% note. I think the payment is like $2,200 a month or something. Super low.
and it's a duplex with extra lots.
It's
or?
like a duplex and a triplex.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's got a nice big chunk of it. The corner, I can't remember the square footage though. But what was so nice about it were the terms, because it would give somebody, we could actually talk to the seller about going in second position. So if he wanted to bring in construction financing to get it fixed up, they still sit there in second for
Okay.
the duration of it.
So when I talked to him, is the biggest downside to this one is you were willing to pay top dollar, right? Because you got the term. So now you have to execute over the long run on the business plan to add the value, and you don't have like an exit outside. That's the biggest downside to that
Yes.
one.
You're forced into a long-term hold.
Yeah, which we do that all the time, and we're comfortable with. But and then what's his plan? Well, go ahead.
You're not fully forced, depending on what you do with their
I
note and
mean,
what
you
you're
could
paying
go
for
sell
it.
that note to someone else now. So what's interesting on those is technically, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but you could go sell that at a lower price to someone else and take interest payments now. So now you record a loss on your tax returns, but potentially
Arbitrage.
have income.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
So
but that's like that's stupid. You
Why
could
is that
just-
stupid? If you wanted out of the deal, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, but you have it set up in a way where they will subordinate, so
Yeah.
you can just smoke and mirrors their way to a development.
Stupid
so
is
now
a
you-
mean word. Come on now. You could have said there's better ideas.
Dude, like trying to paper manufacture a loss when you could just build equity, that's stupid. That's how I look at
Well,
it.
I'm just thinking of if you get in a pickle, you can't finish
Absolutely.
the project. Now you have to think, what are my options if I paid top dollar?
but it's structured in a way that how are you going to get in a problem if they will subordinate the entire
Yeah.
amount to a construction?
So what is he doing with it? Like,
So I think I don't know what he's doing with it right now, but what he's supposed to do is just get the rehab done and get it, because you could get these rented out and do minimal rehab on it, not heavy, just get them rent ready and get them rented. Because the way we underwrote it, you could bring in over $10,000 a month in gross cash flow, and his payment would only be, with utilities. Well, it depends on if he puts it on the tenants. His payment's under $3,000 a month.
okay.
So like, where else can you
what's the
get?
total price?
700,000.
And you can get 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
And how much does it take to get to the 10 grand a month?
Oh,
in
so
income?
for the rehab, I'm not sure where his rehab budget is. When we priced it out, we were looking at like $300K.
Okay. So you're underwriting to the 1% rule with good terms for
Yeah.
15 years, and it's principal only payments. You said,
Principal only.
yeah, you don't have to do any it's.
I know that's why I wanted.
So
it. I was
you
like,
could
just-
subordinate them. You can go get a $300,000 first position loan, subordinate their $700 behind that, and now you cash flow for 10 years.
Exactly.
And you're not putting. That's where the deal structure. So there's no reason to manufacture a loss when you set it up the right way. You can if you need to. You can manufacture a loss, sell it for $900,000 instead of the $1 million, and then you take loss on the note, keep the note, move it somewhere else. You have a paper loss, but you still have the equity.
Yeah, because once you perform on a note for a while, you can go back to your, the seller. Hey, this is what I'm wanting to do.
Well, no,
You're
you don't
trustworthy.
even need to short the note. You keep the note the
Right.
same, move it somewhere else, but on paper you've sold it for less, so you've taken the loss, but you've actually taken cash. So you've taken a paper loss, you've taken the cash, you move the note to somewhere else. Like there's a whole bunch of ways you can structure.
Did you
it.
structure this notice structure on the front end so he will subordinate, or that's a conversation?
Conversation he has to have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You JV that one, or you just wholesaled that one?
That one's just a wholesale. Yeah.
So tell us about your favorite deal you own.
Favorite deal that I own. Oh gosh.
Is it the one that cash flows the most?
I would say the one that I like the most is the one a duplex we built over here in Salem. So we got a single family house from Discount Property. So I bought that one from Brad and it was his biggest assignment fee he made at that time. Like, that's what he told me. So,
and Brad's a good wholesaler.
I think he's a good
not
soul.
a dirty crook.
Other people will say other things. I've only had good experience with him.
He's
I
a
like
shrewd
the guy.
businessman.
I've
and
heard
it's
his
not
name
him.
brought up a few times on this podcast.
The problem is Brad is the guy in between Joe, and Joe is a very shrewd businessman.
Okay.
So there have been plenty of people who are unhappy with their
Brad's
deals.
the buffer.
Brad's
Joe's the
buffer.
hammer.
Yeah, he's the good cop, bad cop. So Joe is.
So he works for a crook, is what you're saying?
Joe's put Brad in positions where now Brad cannot follow through on the word that he gave you.
Are you listening to this, Joe? leave a comment
You
below.
think Joe cares?
No, they're cranking out deals, but
They are
no,
cranking out a lot of
I've only had good experience with Brad, so
Yeah.
been straight shooter. I like that when you're dealing with people that are just
They're called
straight
discount
up.
wholesalers?
Yeah, Discount Property Wholesalers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so I got
Is that the
in
one by
Salem.
the railroad tracks?
Yes, that's mine by the railroad
You
track.
bought that? How much you
Yes.
pay for it?
So
okay,
it's
$130.
That's what they were offering it at.
Yeah.
They told us they had multiple offers above asking.
They always. I think that's the
See?
sales.
No, they're a wholesale crook. We would have offered on it, but we didn't.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't want to pay more than $130.
The railroad does suck. I
Yeah.
will admit it does. It's
Yeah.
a pain.
So it's a house, but you built a duplex.
Yeah,
What,
so it's a house.
extra land.
Yeah, so it's a house with and this is how new I was at the time, because when when we got it under contract, we were just gonna flip it.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna just add on to it and to sell it because it was a good enough. In that neighborhood, the houses were selling for $250, $260 or something at the time. So
Okay.
it was an easy one. But before we got to closing, he's like, "You realize there's 2 lots there?" I was like,
What?
Really? He's like, "Yeah, there's 2 lots. You could develop this." And then that's when I talked to my dad and my brother. I'm like, why don't we build a duplex? It sounds like fun.
So did you pay cash then, or hard
Yeah, I
money?
paid cash, yeah.
Okay, so you have cash, so you have a free and clear lot now,
Yep.
and then you flip the house, or
It took us forever to go through development. Like, this was
Yeah.
like COVID was happening. Like, COVID slowed everything down. And then, of course, I won't mention their name, but it's a longtime friend that does site development, not the actual work, but the drawings, and the plans,
paperwork,
and
yeah.
all that stuff.
Pre-development work?
Yes. Oh my God, took so insanely long.
Months, years?
Months.
well, you'd never developed.
I had never
it.
developed other
Yeah.
than my building in Hubbard. So we have a shop in Hubbard. We went through that process in 2006.
And Hubbard's a small town, so you can
Hubbard's
talk
tiny.
directly to the people, and
Yeah. It was easy.
But in Salem, so it probably took like a year to do. A lot of the
Yeah.
development takes a year.
Dude, it took 8 months,
Yeah.
and the only reason why it actually got sped up towards the end is because I kept checking with him, because I do massive amount of follow up, but I should have followed up with this. He's a straight shooter on every other project I've worked with the guy on, but on this one here, like after 5 months, I was like, what's going on? Like, this seems like way too long. So I started asking a lot of questions. I found out that balls were being dropped. So then I started reaching out to the city, and I got things back on track, got them the documents they needed. Boom, got it done. So then we're in construction, but it took a while. Like with our crews and our guys, so we put our clients ahead of us. So if we have a client job to do, that's the job getting done. My jobs don't get done. They
Yeah.
just sit. So that's how this
did
one
you
went.
do that? Build it that way?
Dude, we built it that way. It took forever.
So what'd you do with the
Forever.
house?
Okay, tore it down. We left so we could get a cheaper permit. I think we left like one wall up and part of the
Oh, and
foundation.
you restructured it on that.
Exactly.
But you have 2 tax lots, so you redid the house and built the duplex?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, 3 units.
And did you sell the house?
No,
or-
no, everything's kept.
Okay, so you came in cash and then you pulled hard money at
Yeah.
that point?
No, we didn't do hard money, so we built it all out of pocket. So
Oh, wow.
we went
Okay.
all in on it. Should have. I'm glad we did because we took so long. Oh my God,
It
our
would've
hard
cost
money.
a lot.
Oh,
That's where I think, I would like to see, kind of understand how much cash you're leaving in deals. So, like, kind of opposite how we're trying to structure deals where we're not having cash in it. You're printing cash in your business and you're leaving cash in a lot of your deals.
Yes,
as you're
100%.
building your monopoly, you have good financing, you have skin in the game cash wise, you've created forced depreciation, and then you're selling with the idea of other depreciation. So when you do sell, you're cashing out all the appreciation, the forced appreciation, and the cash, and then the principal amortization.
exactly. So on this one here, so we bought it for 130 or 135. It's like right around there with closing, and then we put in 600,000. So 600K
Okay.
to build it all out. So we're all in a little over like 750 ish, and it praised for just under $1 million.
Did you burr it then?
Yeah, then we bird it, but we
Okay.
only took out. I should have. This is where I screwed up. I only took out 360 because in my brain I'm like, I want a giant credit line. I want this massive credit line so I
You
can
got
go buy other
100K
deals.
credit line?
I want the credit line.
Yeah.
So this is where I screwed up. I should have just bird it and moved on.
Yeah.
And I only took out 360. And then when I circled back to get the credit line, well, I should only say I only tried it one place, and then they're like, oh, we don't like the way that you have your LLCs nested. You have this one nested, and they wanted us to do all these things, and then I just didn't get back to them. So
Yeah.
And is that just because you didn't have confidence that you could use that cash right away, and you wanted to not have to pay money on the cash sitting there?
you know what, part of it was the one terms I got, it was a weird loan. They wanted me to draw down like $100,000 immediately, and then even if I have nothing to use it on, just draw 100, and you can't pay it back for 3 months. But once you pay it back for 3 months, then you can use it like a regular credit line, but for only 3 years.
Yeah, but I just mean from the get-go, you took a $360K loan. Why
Yeah.
didn't you just take a $500,000, $600,000
That's what I should have
loan?
done.
Yeah.
That would have been
Yeah.
the smart move.
Right,
That's
and
exactly.
then but you have to have confidence that I'm going to be paying debt on 150
Yeah.
interest on 150, 200 grand. Can I put that to work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And I easily
or
could
if
have,
it,
yeah.
if it
Yeah.
debt covered, it doesn't really matter if you put it to work or not at that point, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, except he thinks it a different way than you think
yeah.
of.
Yeah. So I was that's what I should have done, is just drawn out a bigger chunk and then use that to buy more deals.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Or
what I
do
should have
private lending or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
And then,
So-
get more notes defaulted, and you would
Yeah.
have been over leveraged to have non-performing assets.
Baby
That's what's going in his head. He's
Yes.
thinking about the downside.
Yes.
Do you accelerate depreciation on all the stuff you
Oh,
buy?
100%.
Because you're a high income earner and a real estate professional, you don't pay taxes.
I did not pay taxes last year.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then this year I should have the same thing, because
Yeah.
I got to get the rest of the cost seg studies done for the ones we bought last year.
Who do you use the cost seg guy that comes to all the things?
No, I don't. You know what? I didn't meet him
Oh,
until
you should
after.
do it. Then I can get some referrals. That guy owes me so much money on referrals because I don't collect on referrals.
You should get. Yeah, you got to get paid on those. No, I use an online one. It's DIY cost seg.
Okay.
Oh, I've heard people using that. Does it work?
It's good. Yeah.
What about complicated properties?
So far I haven't had any. Everything we do is so small, so
Yeah.
it's like. And that's
So do you do half of it yourself and they verify it or something?
Yeah, no, I go through. I actually have I break out, because I have all the construction costs. So they have like a spreadsheet. You plug all the stuff in, and then they spit out a report.
Oh, how much
Yeah.
does it cost to do?
$700.
Oh,
I know,
Yeah.
reasonable.
Can you break down like what that looks like for people?
Yeah.
Like,
So like, for example, see, which property was it? The average one. So like one we purchased for $500K generated $80,000 of accelerated depreciation.
for the first 5 years, or
It's like 7. I think it's the first 7, and
Okay.
then it kicks back in again at year 7.
okay.
Do you file as a real estate professional?
I do.
Even though a lot of your construction is considered real estate activity?
I don't know if it's considered. I put in so much, like literally the amount of time I put into
Yeah.
real estate. Like,
Do you get
weekends.
W-2 from your construction?
I do. I get
But
a
it's
W-2 there.
Less.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
based on amount of hours, and then you're spending so many hours.
A ton
Like
of
you're
hours.
easily, because 750 or something you have to go over. Like you're you're easily going over.
Yeah, I
that.
would love to. If the IRS ever wanted to look at my calendar and schedule of how much time I spend, I'd love to show them.
Yeah, like 2000. Rob's because reading books, meetups, like
Yeah.
all of this stuff counts. This
Reading
podcast.
books counts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
learning, you're educating
jeez.
yourself.
So
on,
easy.
Yeah.
Seminars, going
So
to
easy.
events. I go to a ton of events.
So the real estate professional is off of, you just got to show that you spend the majority of your hours doing
It's
real
not even
estate.
majority. There's a base level or majority. I thought.
So what if
I don't know.
so if he's making
There's a
10 grand
base
a year in
level.
real estate, but he's making $1 million in construction, he can still cover up his construction earnings with his depreciation because he's a real estate.
But if he's only
professional.
making 10 grand, he's probably or only spending that much time. He probably doesn't have enough depreciation to cover it up anyway. So now
Well,
he's doing enough real estate.
I don't know, he could own enough buildings that are highly levered
Yeah.
to get all. I mean, we're swimming in depreciation. I don't. You
Yeah.
know, that's the reason we do it. I think that depreciation is the sexiest thing about owning buildings.
It is.
Nobody even talks about it.
Nobody talks about it. It's the best thing ever. It
It's
really
the
is.
sexiest double-edged sword alive.
It only is if you're making money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if you have a plan for the end.
So yeah,
Yes.
because you're putting yourself.
I'm going to die in the end. I don't need.
Yeah.
Well, that's a plan
Well-
for the end, as long as you have a plan for the end.
Well, yeah, because you have to 1031.
That's a great plan, by the way.
Yeah.
Tell listeners why you have to 1031 now.
Okay, so you do have for me, I definitely have to. But my other goal, though, by doing all these lease options, is to create a giant wall of depreciation. Like, there's a huge thing right now for people getting into real estate investing, especially with the bonus depreciation coming back. I mean, it hasn't passed the other. What is it? The House,
the big beautiful bill.
God.
the big beautiful, yeah.
Big ugly beast of a. Sorry.
Exactly.
Bonus depreciation's in there. Let's vote for it.
Well, I'm not
Are you
voting for
Team
anything.
Trump or Team Musk on this one?
Oh, do we want to get into that? Definitely Team Musk. Otherwise, it unwinds all the chaos you've created. Why create chaos and then just
not
wipe
do
it out
anything.
on the other side? Like, let's be somewhat reasonable with how we
it's
act.
proof we're just watching a show, man. It's political theater.
Dude, yeah, when your two richest people and the freaking powerful people on the stage are arguing over Twitter, like that's what our world has devolved to. I love this.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But I've got my popcorn out.
Yeah, of course. So depreciation, especially if they actually pass that. So like I'll take full advantage of making sure we buy more property, especially with some of these sub-2 deals. You can get into it for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 and create way more depreciation than what it costs to get into.
So tell me the difference between bonus depreciation and cost seg. Like the tax, when they're extending the 2017 tax cuts, if the big beautiful bill passes, which is just you can take more depreciation up front, whereas cost seg does exactly the same thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, cost seg does the same thing, breaks it all into categories, but the bonus part is where that you're able to get the bigger chunk of it brought forward.
Okay. So it just adds to another layer.
Yeah, so like let's say that your cost seg study gives you $30,000 a year with a regular study. With the bonus, it gives you like I want to say like 7 years. What it equates out to the first 7.
So I had a CPA try to hire me for this when I was an appraiser. So essentially, the easiest thing to do is just to depreciate everything on a 29-year schedule. You could always, from the tax code, go in and do a cost seg and take all those items into their 1, 5, 7, and 29-year categories, and then depreciate them based on 1, 5, 7, 20, whatever those categories are. So that was always capable. Then the Tax and Jobs Act, the Job and Tax Act, created bonus depreciation where you could break them into those categories, and then instead of depreciate them over those category timeframes, the majority of them can be taken in year one.
Yeah.
And so that's the bonus. But you have to cost seg to get those categories broken down to know what you can bonus and what you cannot.
And then you
bonus.
need to have enough income to take all that in year one, or else you just carry the loss forward anyway, I guess. So
Right.
you take it all in one and use it up as you can.
Yeah, and you need to be a real estate professional to take more than $25,000 of that for other.
So really the conversation we're having is only for real estate professionals.
Correct. And that's why there's a lot of Instagram people that have pissed off LPs because they think they're real estate professionals
and they're not.
Yes.
So why does the bonus depreciation matter to somebody who's not a real estate
It doesn't.
professional?
Unless it doesn't.
So it's for one category of citizen in our country that this matters for.
Correct.
So what happens if they take the bonus depreciation, they sell and then don't 1031? Does that non-real estate professional?
No, you have to recapture the bonus depreciation. So your recapture is significantly higher because you have the huge benefit up front. It's something you got to deal with.
So if we highly lever into a deal and we do bonus depreciation and cost seg, we could go to sell that deal and technically have to bring cash to closing because
Correct.
we owe so much in taxes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not to closing, to your tax return the following year.
Or for the return, yeah.
Or you just buy something else to offset that.
So it's a negative, like you sell, you've got equity, but now you don't
Yep.
you don't get to keep any of it.
You'll get equity from the sale. You just have a tax implication with the
That's
sale.
bigger.
So if you can't offset
Sometimes.
it with a different
Yeah,
purchase,
yeah.
then that's the problem. And that's why I say you got to have a plan.
So it forces you into 1031.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah.
you're not going to sell that thing 5 years later and put the money in your
Correct.
pocket and pay normal
Yeah.
taxes.
So Robert has to freaking 1031, but he set it up in a way that you're going to have big equity pops and it'll be easy to 1031. Rather than having like 10% of equity and really being difficult, you're going to have 30, 40, 50%. It'll be really easy to 1031.
Yeah. And if you have deal flow, then you're going to move that money into another deal and do the same thing. And
Or you're selling it on contract.
yeah, sell it on contract.
Can you pass, if you sell it on contract for long enough, can you pass on the note to your kids with a step up?
Yeah. Why not?
No.
You can't?
Notes do not get step up from what I understand.
Oh, you're right. You can't get the step. You can pass the note. You just can't get the
you
step
can't get
up.
the step up.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense because it's different type. It's
Yep.
note income versus...
Right,
Versus-
yeah.
Yep.
So why is the triplex your favorite deal? You didn't tell us. It's
I think that's my favorite one because it was the first Burr deal, and it's actually, when you get to pick everything and put it all together, there's a little bit more pride in it. It's more,
you
something
love it because you built it.
Yeah, exactly. I do, and I got to work with my dad on it too. It's our first project where we kind of built it from ground up, other than our building. So I think it has some. It's special in that way.
Is
kind
your
of a
dad
flex,
buying deals
too.
now too?
He's in. Yeah, he goes out with me to all the stuff. So I'm the acquisitions end of
Yeah.
it. So that's what I do.
Oh, dude, what you did was really cool. You did the flip field trip thing. How did that go? That looked awesome.
That was a lot of fun. So we picked out 3 different flippers in the area. We should get Mike on the next one now that I think about it. You got to have some flip coming up. Maybe I'll check with you and we'll do one there.
I never have flips coming up.
Yeah, right.
It was so much fun though. We got to go around to the 3 different sites, and what was cool is that we had like 60 to 80 people at the first one, and then we had the same amount at each stop, but it was different. Like it wasn't the exact same people. Yeah, new people. Some people dropped off, which is expected. I mean, from 10 in the morning till we went from 10 in the morning till 8:30 at night.
Oh wow!
I know, that's crazy.
You did it in a great way. We did a bus tour where we like actually bussed people around. Oh, it was so nauseating, and then there was like a political religious discussion that happened on one of the buses. It was you did it the right way. Everyone show up. Here's the schedule. Here's the time frame.
Logistically, they just pulled their cars in the neighborhood, 80 people, and just
it was so that was the annoying part, is that we'd roll up and people are like, "What's going on?"
The neighbors. I can't get on my driveway.
What's your goal with all of that? Are you trying to like create more community or find more deals?
Or create more community. I do a lot of JV stuff, so like people seeing me doing stuff brings opportunity. So that's my main. Yeah.
He came out of the shadows on fire.
Well, I saw it.
How many meetups have you done this year?
3. 2, and then we have another one scheduled for June 21st. I got to send the Eventbrite out probably tomorrow.
Yeah, because I saw that you did that, and I was like, oh, this looks awesome. And then I was laughing because we have our meetup. It's like not another boring meetup where you bring a speaker to it. I was like, shit, this is way cooler.
So that's every meetup is like that, where you take them to flip proproperties, or
no? We'll do the same. We'll do
all other ones are boring.
Yeah, we do the boring ones too. Yeah, no, we'll do like a regular meetup where we'll just come hang out. I love those ones because that's where I get to meet and talk to guys like you. The other ones it brings in a different crowd, and it brings a lot of more new people because they're so interested in flipping. There's so many people that they want to do this, but now they can actually go see it, they can touch it, they can feel it. It's a different experience.
Do you think beginners should start with flipping?
If they do, they should partner with somebody.
They should understand construction. Absolutely.
Because everyone is drawn to wholesaling and flipping because they think it's easy and a big payday.
Yeah.
And it takes more resources to do anything other than that.
Yes.
It's true. But yeah, flipping is a great one for new people because they just partner. They if they could go to Mike and go, "Hey, Mike, I have a deal. Can you help me with it?"
That's why I love guys like Juden. Like he asks me questions and I give him all the answers. And his response is, "Oh, it's really apparent. I really need to understand the construction process." Like, yes, you have the number one takeaway, and he's like, "My next quarter is dedicated to understanding construction process."
Who? Jude. Oh, Jude's so funny.
Yeah.
Nice. Jude shouldn't flip. He should just buy a part. Jude, if you're listening, skip the flip.
But dude, you need to have you not learned that you need to understand construction as an asset manager?
No, you just find Mark who understands construction.
This guy.
Leverage people.
Fucking puppy dog.
We don't need to go learn anything. We got smart people all around us.
He's a who not how. I should stop. I should be appreciating the fact that he just has who not how driven into his DNA.
Yeah. That's why you build community.
Yes. Yeah. Good job, Trevor. You're way ahead of the game.
But you also want to provide some value to that community.
Trevor does a decent job.
He does a great job of that. Stays in his lane. We don't want him to learn construction. Just keep putting deals under contract. That a boy.
Sweet. Well, we'll have to have Rob back on because you're going to have so many more deals to talk about too. And these are my favorite deals to talk about because they're the most creative. So I love this.
I just have to say something real quick. That duplex is not a burr. You have $400,000 cash sitting in it. You cannot.
It could have been though.
It could have been. It could have been a burr.
How about a partial burr?
It's a.
That's a lot of nut to be hanging out on that property, dude. In fact, you should 1030 that one really soon.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think about that.
You got $600,000 in equity.
I'll probably just
go buy.
Dude, I'm gonna go get my credit line.
You know what, Rob?
You should go buy this.
No.
Dude, okay.
Oh, well, you tell him first.
I got a deal for us.
Okay.
I got a deal for us. I got a really good deal for us.
Oh, I like this.
If you have $600,000 in that thing, like you can go find a seller carry apartment complex with 10% down, and that's a $6 million deal, and then just skip the triplex.
That's true. No, that's a really good point.
Don't start protecting your assets until they're big enough to protect.
Yeah.
Don't take the little one and go, "Oh, I'm keeping that forever." Well, make it all trading stock to
there's
the
cool
really big
things
stuff.
you can do though when you have giant equity though and stuff. Like one thing we'll do with the seller is that we'll go, "Hey, so we'll purchase your property. We'll like say, I have this one right now. I might actually do this. The one in Yakima. I'm just doing sub 2 and giving them a seller carry. Mm-hmm. But what I might do, since the amount of the first position note is really low, the house is worth $365, and the first position note's 117. So he has a huge amount of equity.
Yeah,
got him to agree to $500 a month 0% interest for 10 years.
Okay.
So that's the terms on it. What I might do, since we have to put in like 20 grand worth of rehab, I might actually take his note and put it on our, this other building in Salem, secure him there,
Go get a loan.
refinance that one and pull out, 200,000 on that one, and then move forward with that. So there's different things you can do with, stacking notes.
Yeah.
He's
Sweet.
got a big garage of equity.
Tell us again, Rob, if people want to reach you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yes, at the Rob Harden on Instagram.
The
All right.
legend, Rob Harden.
The legend, one and
You
only.
create that. That handle has to happen. Let's
I gotta
go.
change it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks again, Rob, for joining us on a follow-up episode. It's been really fun. We'll have to do this again. It's funny. Trevor always says when we talk about a deal, he goes, "This is my favorite kind of deal to talk about."
They're all my favorites.
They're all your
This
favorites.
is the most recent. I forget all the other ones. And this is the most
True
recent
deal
one.
junkie, right?
Yeah.
He's wearing the T-shirt. It says Deal Junkies right on it. All right, Deal Junkies, we love you. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, share us. I think we're going viral. This is going to go big. We're going to help everybody go to
Due on sale jail.
Due on sale jail.
I'll lead the way.
Rob Harden is leading us all to the promised land.
His
All right.
risk is low. We're talking 0.01 probability. Make sure that's understood. 0.01 probability.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.